Ryan, what do we love?
We love ghost stories.
And what do we have?
We have people with ghost stories.
So what are we going to do?
We're going to listen to those ghost stories.
Let's get spooky.
Let's get spooky.
I have a spooky story. When first you mentioned that you guys were doing spooky tales, I'm like, I don't have a spooky tale. And then all of a sudden I had this flash of memory. Like totally have one that was like burned into my memory. And then I've kind of scrubbed over a little bit because it was mildly traumatic. And also I will say that I am a total skeptic. Like I have that Houdini-esque skeptic quality. I usually want to debunk everybody. I'm like, people are like, I saw a specter. I'm like, no, you didn't. You did not. Like, I know you. You're an alcoholic. Like, there's no way you saw anything. So
that's not even debunking. That's just a straight up, no, you didn't.
No, you didn't. That's true. I guess debunking requires more research.
No proof.
It's just me being a dick.
You just pointed the person and go, no, you didn't. Nope. You're a drunk.
And then stamp debunked. That's it. Next.
I would watch that show. I would 100% watch that show.
Belleville's debunkings. So I just have to preface it. Like I am a super skeptic, and even like saying it, I'm like, sometimes it's hard to believe what happened. Or anyways. So I grew up I live in America, but I grew up in Canada. I was born in Canada. I grew up in Calgary, Alberta. And
that's where my great aunt, my Aunt Eve, was from. Calgary, and when we went there to visit her once, I went to Calgary after the Olympics.
Yeah, so 88, 89.
And my parents were so cheap, they made us stay in the old Olympic dorms that they were renting those out as hotel rooms.
Yes. I know exactly where you're talking about.
And we stayed there, and then we met my Aunt Eve, and we went to a place called Mother something, and it was a steakhouse, and it was called like it was pretty good actually, and my dad hated it because it was so expensive. I hope I'm painting a picture of
I don't know the steakhouse though. Somebody
Mother Anna's I don't know.
That's in Boston. That's across from IA.
Oh yeah,
Alberta steak is top shelf. It's like some of the best steak you can get, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like it's like the Alberta's the Texas of Canada, kind of. So it's all oil and beef, but because it's Canada, there's more regulation. Like you can't just pump that beef full of like crazy hormones and stuff like that.
Hey, all right.
Hey. Sorry, I didn't mean to make it so political about beef. So I grew up there. I went to Rideau. I went to Rideau Middle School, which is like junior high. I don't know. Do you guys call it junior high in America?
Yeah. Like is junior high in Canada
middle school? Middle school?
Like 6,
7, 8, 9.
Okay, that's not what it is in America.
No, it's not. See, this is I've become such a linguistic mutt because neither of my parents they're Canadian now, but I don't know. Like
I think it's like 6, 7, 8 here. It's pretty close. It's before high school. Okay.
People bust me for saying grade 6, and they're like, grade 6? What's grade 6? It's the 6th grade. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Was it Travolta doing that to you?
Yeah, it's always Travolta. It's always. So anyways, I was in middle school, which was a terrible time. It was full of like real jerks, and I was a blossoming artist with a mullet. And I had a real tough time, but I also had met my first girlfriend, and she was amazing. She was beautiful, and she was like, we had a great time. And
what was her name?
Her name was Rhea, and she has gone on to be a very successful visual effects artist for like every big movie, Star Wars, and all the Marvel movies, and all this stuff.
Oh man,
she's a very cool lady. But at the time, we were young lovebirds. We'd hang out and like go to the park and always try to find fun mischief to get into. And there were rumors that my middle school was haunted because of two incidences. One was that a principal had a heart attack, supposedly, there and passed away in the office. And the other was right before a spring break, a janitor in the janitor's room died and was there for like the entire spring break. And then finally somebody came back and found him.
Oh, God.
But again, these are the rumors. Like, I don't know how much of it's true and how much of it isn't. But we were so fascinated when we heard about these things, like people dying in your school. Like that was like amazing. Yeah. So the two of us started like sleuthing around Hardy Boys style and asking everybody. And of course, we went to the janitor and asked. He was like this old gruff guy. I'm like, hey man, like, do you think it's haunted here? And he's like, oh yeah, definitely. I've seen at least 2 or 3 ghosts. I'm like, for real? Like,
yeah,
you've seen ghosts? He's like, yeah, at night, because I come in, I clean at night, and that's what's going on. And we go, can we come by the school maybe one night and look around? He's like, sure.
Wow.
Which again, this is
a different time or a different,
That's a different time. Usually if a janitor is inviting you by at night, it's not a great sign.
Exactly. This guy had been there for a long time. Everybody knew, I can't remember his name anymore, but he's an older guy. Everyone was like, we know this guy. He seemed trustworthy. The beginning to every nightmare story.
Yeah. That's the way that always starts.
So we rode our bikes to the school. We got there and we heard like we couldn't hear anything. We knocked on the door. We're like, hey, we're here. Nothing. There was a couple lights on in the basement. And this school was basically a gymnasium and then 3 long corridors stacked on top of each other. That's it. So we could see a little bit of light. Maybe somebody's in there, but we could see a little bit of light seeping from underneath the gymnasium door. You know those big orange doors at school? They have no windows on them, like security fire doors. We see a little light. So we started like knocking on it, going, hello. And then all of a sudden we heard like the haunting laughter of a little child, like, ha, 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 ha. And we both like, what? And we knocked again. And then we heard a ball bouncing. We're like, is anybody in there? And then from right on the other side of the door, I heard that noise. And we both shrieked like a full-on pig snort. And we shrieked. We ran back around to the front door and like we knock, hello, hello. And we started looking through the windows like, what is that? And then eventually we saw the janitor. He's like, what are you guys doing? He opened up the door and his kid was there playing in the gym. And we were so freaked out. Like, oh, it's nothing. It's nothing. This place isn't haunted.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
Forget this. Cut to a few months later. We were kind of embarrassed about the situation. There's a new janitor there.
His name's other one had died over a break.
I don't know what happened to that guy, but there was Joe. And we casually mentioned to him, like, hey, have you ever seen a ghost? He's like, no, I haven't heard anything about ghosts or anything at all. We're like, oh, well, do you think we could come by and you let us in? We're rolling the dice the second time with a second guy, a second janitor who's the police check probably hasn't even cleared for this guy yet.
There's a lot of janitor turnover at this place.
I know, drifters, all drifters. So we did go. We went again. We're like, okay, it's not so bad. We went. We're gonna be brave this time. We got freaked out by a little kid. Let's be brave. And we knock on the door, and Joe's there. He's just mom. He's like, oh, you guys actually came here? Sure. Hey, John Travolta shows up again.
Joan.
Yeah, looks like.
Hey, I just distinctly remember Joe. He had a giant, like, beautifully coiffed, jet black hair, and he was like, "Oh yeah, come on." He was super friendly. Yeah, you guys can do whatever. I'm cleaning in the basement or wherever, but you can go. So we started looking around. We go, let's go to the top floor, and it was like pitch black up there, except for 2 firelights. Pitch black. You know when it's so quiet, your ears are burning a little bit.
Yeah.
And we get up to the top, and we look down that long corridor, and we're like, let's walk one at a time down the corridor as a dare. And I'm like, I'm pretty scared, but my girlfriend's like, I'll do it. And she walks silently down the corridor. And I wait. I can just hear the blood in my ears. And then I take my turn. I walk to the end of the corridor, terrified. And at the end of the corridor, we sit on the bench, which is made out of hockey sticks, because I live in a Canadian cliche at the time, but it was made out of hockey sticks. And we just sat there silently for a second going, all right, we did it. We conquered the fear. There's nothing to be scared of. At that moment, we hear a loud bang, like a thump that you might hear from the other side of the locker. That's all that's in this corridor. It's just lockers and some classrooms. And then we hear another. And then we hear another. And it starts sounding like somebody's hitting either lockers with a wrench and or like water pipes right next to us, just hammering. And then it goes crazy, like somebody's drumming all over. But like behind the lockers, we don't see them moving. We just hear bang, 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 bang. All these pipes, bang, 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 bang. And we're frozen with fear. Like we can't move. And it suddenly stops. Like all at once, it stops. And we just go, we like Kevin McAllister, like, and just beeline out down to the bottom of the stairs. And we're running. And at the bottom of the stairs, there is Joe with one of those like polishers, just polishing the floor quietly. And he looks at us and goes, "What's wrong, guys?" I'm like, "Didn't you hear that? Didn't you hear all that noise?" He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And we're like, it sounded like they're smashing, like there's water pipes, all like crazy, crazy sounds. It's like there's no water pipes up there. There's no bathrooms upstairs. There's no water fountains or anything up there. And we're totally freaked out. And he, as a grown-up, he's like, "I'm going to go see what's going on." So he goes upstairs, he looks. He's gone for about 20 seconds. He comes back down. He looks freaked out and he goes, "I'm going to close up for the night." And he's like, "You guys should go home." So we went home and he came with us. He locked up for the night and left. We were just all out of there. He never said what he saw, what happened. And we biked home totally shaken. Like it's gotta be something there's gotta be some explanation for this. And then Joe didn't really talk to us that much anymore. Like he got really quiet. And not only that, he got a giant white streak in his hair.
No.
And he started losing weight like crazy. The guy probably had cancer, and I feel bad, like we're like tying it to a ghost story, but it's like legit. He looked like shit, and he looked so messed up. And we're like, oh,
he got like the poltergeist streak in his hair.
He
like
did. He was like going white. Yeah, it was like it's over the next like month or 2 months, it just started going more and more white.
Ugh.
And then and he lost a ton of weight, and we're like, oh my God. And we buried that story forever. But like the two of us were so scared.
That
had to be something. I remember asking other people who worked in the school, like, what could the sound be? Like, we don't know. I remember breaking into the teacher's lounge at one point just to climb the ladder that leads to the roof to look around up there. And there was nothing up there. There was no like air conditioning unit or anything like that.
And it was like, it wasn't just like a pop, pop, pop.
It sounded like somebody smashed. I mean, again, my first thought, like maybe it was water pipes, but that was the thing. Cause you know, if you ever lived in an old building in like New York or somewhere, like it can be crazy, the sound of like water heaters, but there were none.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have, to this day, I don't know what it is.
Wow.
But the creepiest thing, like talking about it, remembering, was just seeing how he was haunted for like as long as I was there at that school for like the rest of that year. And he looked terrible, like this grown man. That's what scared me more.
Yeah.
Is that a grown man was so terrified after the fact.
Do you know what happened to him?
I have no idea what happened to Joe. I actually emailed Rhea to ask her about like what she said, and she hasn't got back to me yet. So
well, she's busy editing the next Star Wars movie.
Probably. She's like, I don't have time to relive sad janitors who are probably pedos and ghosts who are like, just get out before Joe gets you.
Or she got your message and immediately a white streak formed in her hair.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun.
I think the most amazing thing about these stories is that 2 janitors in a row gave you the thumbs up on coming late at night.
Yeah. Canada's different, man.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's a different place.
Also, the idea that you climbed up and went to like investigate, like you had a full blown like adventure that year. Like you went.
Oh, I was into all sorts of trouble. The idea of breaking into the school or getting into the school was very appealing. Yeah, especially when you're with a girl who's likes your rebellious streak.
Yeah, sure. That is very. Also, that I just keep thinking about that poor guy, poor Joe, because like he also didn't know it was haunted. Like 2 kids came up to him and were like, "You know about all the ghosts here?" He was like, "No."
Well, and it's not like he could talk to anybody about it. Like, what happened? Well, I let these kids in after hours.
Yeah, there's no officer. So I let 2 kids into the school after hours.
Yeah,
anyways,
high school janitor has to be right up there with the worst job in the world, with their little spray gum, that stuff they spray on the gum in the rug.
Like ammonia
that would freeze it.
I think of the sawdust on Throw Up. You know, the like
Oh,
it was
Yes.
just
The
like shavings
loose-
that they would put and then be able to sweep it away, and you'd be like, I don't even know the science behind this.
And the room, the janitor room, like every school
Yeah.
I was ever in had that like
Yeah.
boiler room in the basement.
Yeah.
Where they'd
Freddy
sadly
Krueger's
eat lunch.
lair.
Yes. Yes. They were never teaching chess to kids.
I know.
That
All
wasn't a real
through-
thing.
All through the first
No.
like 4 episodes of The Queen's Gambit, I was like, she's gonna get murdered down there. This is
Yeah,
a show
that's-
about, this is a show about a
I-
monster.
Ryan, I swear to God, I haven't thought about this until you brought it up right now. But I watched my janitor die in a school assembly. He had a heart attack and fell to the floor and died in front of us in a
What?
school assembly. And I swear on my life, I haven't thought about this until you just brought up high school janitors.
How old were you?
I think I must have been 15 or 16.
Oh my God.
Somewhere in the 15-ish. I think I was young because this janitor was like, the janitor was not old either. He couldn't have been more than like 55,
Yeah.
and he dropped like a log. And I remember thinking like, he's not well. And then all of a sudden somebody started doing CPR on him, like another teacher, and they were like, okay, everybody out of the, and I was like, he's dying?
Oh my God.
Is he dying? As we were being shuffled out of and then the next morning they were like, we're very sorry to report. I was like, whew. So I just saw somebody die.
Whoa. And
Okay.
then you're like, deleted.
Yeah.
Eh,
Delete,
yeah.
repress
I'll-
that.
For
Let
$1
me
million,
wait
I
until I
wouldn't have
talk
guessed
to
that's what
Ryan
you were gonna
Belleville.
say.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you watched your janitor die. These poor men.
Like, what did this remind me of? Oh, the time I
That-
watched my
that's
janitor
rough.
die.
Yeah.
Yeah. I swear to God, I hadn't
Like you
thought
haven't
about
legit thought of
until
it
now.
since that day, like, or since the day after.
Or at least very, like, it was in my mind for like 6 months to a year, and then sort of like drizzled away. And then when you were talking about janitors, I was like, why is this ringing? Oh my God. I watched my janitor die.
Well, that's
Yeah.
like, it is amazing how you repress these weird, like there's so many memories that we repress. We just choose to like not live in and
Yeah.
Yes.
We've
Heck
said
yeah.
that a lot in this show. Almost, I want to say like 80% of the people that have come on have been like, I didn't remember I had a ghost story until you
Yeah.
said
yeah.
who has a ghost story, and then all of a sudden I was like, I have a ghost story.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, so what do we? It's so crazy. Like we must, you just kind of like delete the file or you put it somewhere for like mental protection maybe, and then
Mhm.
2 idiots go like, anybody got a ghost story? And you're like, oh no, my repressed memory back.
Totally.
Well, it's I think that it's just our brain. It's one of the ways we process fear too. Like I think of this as whatever happened to me as a ghost story because what happened to this janitor, and it was unexplained and it was absolutely terrifying at the time, like paralysis inducing terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was also a 14 or 15-year-old boy, pumped full of hormones in a dark place. Like
Yeah.
I was
exciting.
primed for this sort of
Yeah.
fear
It's equally exciting and terrifying.
Mhm.
And it's like what you're sort of hoping for at that age. You're like, this is why we're out. You go to a graveyard when you're a kid.
Yeah.
You're not going there because you're like, hey, I hope I can like do a poetry reading. You're going there because you want to
Feel some magic.
Yeah, you want to feel some magic. You want to feel some electricity go through you. You don't know what you are looking for, but you're like, I want to feel something different. I want to see the beyond. I want to see a ghost.
Right.
You
Yeah.
don't
like the
even know what a
Ouija
ghost
board.
is.
If I was
At the-
alone with a girl in my school, at nighttime, that would have been, my heart would have made those sounds. Like it would have been so loud that I would have been like, must be pipes. Because I would have been like,
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
it
not
was
far
your own pipes.
must be pipes. It's pipes of some kind.
Are you making that noise? It must be ghosts behind the.
Gotta be
behind the
ghosts.
wall.
Why are you sitting like that? No reason. Just trying to.
Can we sit down on the bench for a bit, please? Can we just sit down for a moment?
I have to lie down flat for a moment.
Just don't touch me, don't look at me. Yeah.
That's great. What a great story, though.
Yeah,
that brings up a lot of memories for me too. But
terrifying memories. Now
mostly, yeah, hard. Now, you're having a moment too. You're gonna have to talk to somebody about.
I absolutely. I need to talk to somebody. Anybody, anybody at all. I could talk to.
Yeah.
Anybody. I don't. Anybody.
Jen, my wife reminded me that we saw a person have a heart attack at a restaurant in San Diego, and both of us had also repressed that while we were eating.
Oh wow!
And we didn't have a ton of money, but it was this is before kids. But we were at one of the most expensive restaurants in San Diego.
It was a treat night.
It was a treat. It was one of those we're gonna go have a $300 meal, and it's gonna be just a 10-course paired meal, and we were so excited, and we were halfway through, and a guy 2 tables over was and we were watching oh, I hope he's okay.
And you were more deviled eggs, please.
You didn't pay full price, did you?
Is this we did get an extra glass of wine. I do remember that much. Normally this doesn't pair with this, but here's an extra drink.
Yeah.
To that guy.
An extra bottle to everybody's table. Just let's keep this out of.
If anything, it's a testament to how good the food was, right? That's
exactly. Yeah. You stayed. Yeah. And everybody in the restaurant said, "To that guy," and raised their glass.
Yeah, you're not finishing Chick-fil-A if somebody's dying next to you.
Yeah,
it's gotta be pretty good.
You guys did that cheers, and he was still in the room with his sobbing wife. Everybody.
Oh God.
To that guy.
To that guy, and the chef. Also to the chef.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Call an ambulance.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is our treat night, sir. You can't interrupt. We're very busy.
No, you're part of our treat night.
Dinner and a show. Lightning bolt. Oh my God! No wonder I'm going to be haunted by that guy's ghost. He was fine.
Yeah.
Oh heck yeah!
I'm sure he was fine.
Ryan,
I feel lucky. I haven't seen anybody do that.
This is great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your story. This is amazing. I loved it.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I loved it.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I love the podcast. Keep searching for the creepy crawlies out there.
The truth, man.
The truth. That's what I'm going to say. The truth is out there.
Yeah. We're looking for the semi-truth. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you. This is a SAG, right? This is a SAG after.
This is weirdly, it's just after.
Yeah. And it's spelled AFTER.
AFTA.